Hi there, welcome to Gray Muzzle Geekery for the week of December 9th, 2019, episode 33, end of season 1. I'm your host, Dusty Red, and with me as always,
I'm Dusty White.
And we'll get into this month's Geek Battle Cries. This month's Geek Battle Cry of thank yous and shoutouts go first to our Patreon supporters, Bada, Chad, Chris, Clay, Delaron, Donna, Matt, Redcoat, Ryan, Silver Gaudaman, and Travis.
If you love our logo as much as we do, be sure to visit the To Improve Your Day page on Facebook to see more of Travis's work.
If our intro gets stuck in your head as it does ours, be sure to check out the musician, Pepper Coyote, on Spotify, or you could purchase his work directly from his Bandcamp page.
Also, be sure to check out our greater family of geekery.
If you've enjoyed some of our commissioned art pieces, be sure to check out Quack Quack Honk Designs at www.quackquackhonk.com.
For more geek news, be sure to listen in every Thursday at the Geek Awakens podcast, hosted by Mitch Ladd.
If you enjoy 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, be sure to join DM and friend of the show, Pat Rickert, every Monday night for Loaded Dice Adventures on Twitch.
If you have the need for plasti-dipped weapons for a variety of cosplay or live-action role-playing game needs, be sure to check out the Forge of Wrath page on Facebook.
And finally, if you have miniatures that need painting and want to be the envy of all your friends, who better than our friends at Night Owl Painting? Be sure to check out the Night Owl Painting page, and that's Night with a K, on Facebook.
All right, so we're gonna kind of do this episode a little different.
It's a finale.
Yeah, season 1 finale.
Woo!
Season 1. We've kind of been on a hiatus due to your Dusty White's great idea of joining a podcast competition.
Which has been nothing but sucked away at our lives for the last 3 months. Not joking, 20 hours a week, basically, give or take.
Unpaid internship. I kind of nailed it first couple of weeks go around of unpaid internship. But we've learned a lot. We've walked away with some interesting memories and things I don't think I would have ever have done without the competition.
Like editing your own podcast?
Maybe. However, it's been a good experience, but it's unfortunately taken us away from our actual original true
our passion project.
Our true passion podcasting, which is the two of us sitting here and having a bit of a drink. And we thought we would kind of roll out season 1, close it out with an homage to the beginning of our podcasting journey and talk about some breweries that we've hit. And
before we get into that, I wanted to just remind everybody that the competition is near its ending at americasnexttop.podcaster.com, where you could listen to where, if I'm not mistaken, when this is released, the final 3 have been announced.
Yes.
And you'll be able to kind of listen in and see where we have. I can say that the 2 of us have actually made it to the final 4. We were selected out of a few hundred and narrowed it down to the 12. And then we went through and did these tricks and jumping through hoops and doing all sorts of crazy things just so that, again, we could try to do a better show for our listeners. So, obviously, go on over there, give them a listen, and see what it's about, see the kind of craziness that we had to deal with. And, again, always thanks to Brian Ibbott and Hammond and, Tom Merritt and all the judges, even jury, and all the people that we worked with and everybody else that we had a good time with. And, obviously, we're not quite done yet, but we are calling this a finale. Season finale, in the sense of we have some things planned that's going to be different for, air quote, season 2. A little bit of format change, kind of back to some of the roots as we're talking about on kind of getting more into the meat of the news rather than just like, here's your news, move on from here. Kind of talk about a little bit of that. And some other surprises in the near future that, spoiler alert. So, yeah, I think we are really excited about all that and wanted to take a moment to say thank you to everybody since it is, just right after Thanksgiving, and we're all feeling a little holiday nostalgic and not sure if that's just the feelings or the turkey giving me gas. And nope, it's the cranberries. And yeah, so as Dusty was saying, though, let's go to our roots and talk about beer and breweries and Beats and Bears and Battlestar Galactica. Ian's still silent. So I guess we're going to look back, seeing as the last time we
had originally met,
we were on, let's see, go through the pages of time here.
Once upon a time, your Gray Muzzle Geekery hosts.
So the last episode we did was in the week of September 23rd. And since then, because I had just turned 37.
I was going to say, was it that long ago that it was your birthday?
It was that long ago. We did my birthday stuff, and then we did some talkings, and then there was a lot of nothing. So, I mean, obviously we were busy, and what did we end up doing? Well, I ended up going out to visit my family out in Arizona and celebrating my dad's 60th birthday, which required me being out there for a whole week, which then in turn gave us a road trip out to San Diego. And boy, howdy, did I try some beers. So we have laid out a bunch of coasters and stickers and stuff of some of my adventures and then some of our dual adventures, because it's almost fitting that just as we do this podcast competition and we kind of pull away from each other to do a competition against each other,
right.
I start going on my own adventures a little bit, and you were sorely missed because I know some of these places you really would have liked.
I really would have liked a few of these.
So let's first talk about my first stop at the 8-Bit Brewery in Avondale, Arizona.
Okay.
And it's definitely one of these murder shacks at first. Like when you're first rolling into the area, it's like a low pollution industrial complex, I want to say, or commercial complex.
Which it seems like almost a pattern with some of these breweries, that they're picking up some of these buildings that obviously need to be industrial-ish to be able to hold the big vats and all the brewing and getting deliveries and stuff. So it almost seems like
easy access roads.
Right.
You need easy access roads. You need these buildings that are already prefabbed with giant garage doors and all these other things. And I know everybody has seen them. You've drove past the thing where it's like you're driving through the area and it's like children's trampoline thing and like a small office and like maybe a law firm or two, but then some sort of like karate dojo and just a mismatch of small businesses.
Got it.
And so the first one was this little place called 8-Bit Ale Works. And it was what you expected. You walked in and it was just an homage to 8-bit video games. They had drinks called White Mage and Black Mage, and they've had, since it was early October, they had all their seasonal stuff. So they had like pumpkin spice this and pumpkin flavored. And
for all you basic brewers out there.
Basic brewery bitches. But it's actually pretty good. Then you had but they had a lot of like kind of cider-ish type stuff kind of going on. But so we went there and looking at, they had TVs set up on some of the tables where they had like Nintendos and Super Nintendos hooked up. I remember playing Donkey Kong Country 2 for 5 minutes or so.
The best one.
Really?
Minecart, duh. Minecart, I think it's Minecart Madness is one of the best episodes or best levels in Super NES history.
All right, I'll fight you on that. I don't know, man. All right. Hey, if you got a better idea, hit us up on Twitter and see what is your favorite freaking thing. But yeah. So we first hit there, had a couple drinks, and then I saw a sign right across the street that had a sign like an A-frame that said "Obey the bees." Go on an adventure. And obviously, we like to say adventure awaits here. So we went next door, and it was a meadery. And this place was called Scale and Feather Meadery. And the thing about them is, when I first walked in, the lighting was super low. And they had the electronic candle, like light bulbs. So it had like a flickering flame going on. But it was in a giant F-off chandelier overhead. Like a huge chandelier.
Okay.
And on the walls had like the medieval vibe going on, suits of armor, weapons, ball and chain, and like it's meadery and like, you know, and for those that don't know, mead is honey wine for the most part.
Right.
It's a honey ale, honey.
It's
fermented.
really good. You get kind of if you drink too much of it, it gives you a hell of a bad hangover.
Well, it's sugar.
I was gonna say it's a lot like wine.
It's sugar, and for the most part, it's honey wine. For the most part, it's what 10, 12%. A lot of them, some of them could go as high as like 16, 18%.
Right.
But it's you're obviously not drinking it in 24-ounce, you know, gallons and stuff like that.
Don't judge me.
You wouldn't drink that in a 24-ounce container. So, you know, it's a little container. I even bought a little glass from there because I thought it was really cool. But as I'm starting to notice, it's not just so much a medieval vibe, but they have maps of Westeros on the wall, and they have maps of the Sword Coast for you Forgotten Realms fans, and they even have the map of, what is it, the Marauders map, is it, from Harry Potter?
Uh-huh.
So they have all of these maps on the walls, and they're kind of giving a vibe. They have a dragon head in the back, and like on the main wall, and you're starting
to get the geek vibe.
You're starting to feel a geek and starting to feel a medieval thing, like a fantasy thing. And then one of the owners comes out, and I can't remember his name at the moment, but I think it was Jim, but his shirt said, blah, the Rogue. And it immediately caught my attention.
Of course.
Because, A, duh, Rogui, but secondly, like, okay, hang on, he knows what a rogue is. And I'm not just saying, like, oh, you dashing rogue, but he's clearly, like, D&D class. And I find a story of this place. Apparently, it was a headcanon adventure for him and his 3 co-owners, with his wife being one. When he was telling me, he is the rogue, his wife is the ranger, his friend is the wizard, and then another friend, I think, is the barbarian.
Or warrior.
A warrior, one of the warrior or barbarian. To which I made the joke of, pretty bold move going in without a cleric. I had his attention.
Right, exactly.
And so suppose I asked him, so what's about this? Because he's got the big door leading into the master brewery section is like painted up to be a giant dungeon door.
Like a vault door.
Like a giant wooden vault door. And I'm like, so what's the story about this? And he's like, funny you say that. So their headcanon is that they fought a dragon. And they slayed the dragon and mounted the dragon's head on the wall of this establishment that they were going to make their meadery. However, in the fight, what they were hopeful for all the riches, the dragon's breath melted everything. And as he says that, he opens up the door leading into the main production facility.
I can almost hear the creak.
Oh, it creaked too. It definitely had a going on. And he's like, and the dragon's breath melted all of our treasure. And no shit, the entire back room's floor looked like melted gold.
They had so cool.
It was a full, like, they did the whole back area. It was like a gold epoxy. So obviously, because it's a workspace, so it needs to have traction stuff. But you open it up and it's like gold and some browns, and you know, it looked like melted treasure strewn all across this back area. And then he's finishing the story with, and while all of our treasure was gone, we did find a hollow dragon's egg. And what he showed me was where he made his mead was in this giant plastic egg that, as he was saying, the egg is the perfect vessel for this because of its conical shape at the top. Mm-hmm. It minimizes the amount of oxygen that allows him to better control the proofage and the amount of oxygen and sugars basically being devoured to
the fermentation
the fermentation process. He has better control of the fermentation process rather than in a barrel, which is a cylindrical shape,
right?
So it's equal top and bottom. With it being in an egg, it was wide on the bottom and narrow on top. So
science, bitch.
Yeah, absolutely science. And he's like, and this was our reward for slaying the dragon, is this egg, and so we made mead. And I'm like, having a full geekgasm, just like. I buy your things. I want to buy them all.
That's awesome.
So obviously I bought a glass and I got a coaster with, and even on the back of it, it says coaster of absorbing. Oh, it's a wondrous item. It's uncommon. Must be placed prior to drinking. Failure to use results in -2 wisdom checks. It can be stacked. +2 liquid absorption. +2 damage resistance versus water. It is silly and amazing. So
it's taking a theme and really running with it. And
some would say it would be commit to the bit.
So it's interesting because a lot of breweries kind of have that that they get an idea and they kind of run with it, because it's almost kind of, hey, we make a bunch of brews or a bunch of beers.
Sure.
But they really don't have something that ties them all together. It's nice when a brewery has something that ties it all together.
And you'll see as kind of as a theme as we go through more of our brewery selection here of, otherwise you're just making beer.
You're right.
Like there's a point where you're going to put a pile of Pilsners, alliteration, a plethora of Pilsners laying in front of you, and...
What sets them apart?
Yeah, you'll have some flavor profiles here or there. For the most part, though, Pils is going to be a Pils. It might be a little bit better, a little bit sweeter, a little bit lighter, but it's going to be the same thing. But when you run it with a theme, when you're running with a
passion,
a commonality of, hey, we're going to be D&D themed, so we're going to name our drinks after D&D classes, or, one of the meads I had, I can't remember names now, but I want to look back, but some of the meads were like, one of them was called Roll for Initiative. Like stuff like that. So it's very clearly aimed to be that vibe of, fantasy-like. And I guess we could go, and we're going to sit on that note because we'll reference that in other themes further along. I guess it's still my turn.
Yeah.
We'll have to go back to you.
I mean, it's still the trip.
So we're still in Arizona. So that's how we do my first night in Arizona. I'm there for a couple of days, still dealing with the podcast competition while I'm visiting my family in Arizona,
right?
Which is a story unto itself. So take the drive out. It's about 5-hour drive. Get to San Diego, and we make a stop off at a taco joint that my sisters are all about. Like, hey, you need to go to San Diego and go to this taco place. They got amazing tacos.
Okay.
Now, they're correct. The tacos were phenomenal. Like, you sit on top of the bar, or you sit on the rooftop bar, and you get to overlook the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
You get to see the Pacific Ocean with some tacos and some beer in front of you. And it was an absolutely amazing view. It was nice to be with my family, especially it was just my mom and dad, and I don't get time alone with them like that because I'm oldest of 4, so it was nice to spend time with them. And my sister's like, yeah, you have to go. And so I'm thinking I'm going to be a smartass, and I'm going to wear my Chicago Bears jersey, because San Diego doesn't have a football team. Ha, 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 ha. They moved to L.A. and became the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm like, I'm going to wear my Bears shirt. Na, 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 na. Yeah, it was a fucking Packers bar.
In the middle of San Diego?
In the middle of San Diego. A legitimate,
your sisters punked you. That's what happened.
Yeah. Ashton Kutcher's going to jump out and just be like, gotcha. I mean, the tacos were good, but I walk in and it is a full, like the Bears game was playing because the Packers played after. They played the 3:05 or 3:15 game, and the Bears lost because they played the Raiders. And I'm just watching going, oh no, what am I? And like people are looking at me, he's like, you have a lot of nerve wearing a Bears shirt in a Packers bar. I'm like, I have a lot of nerve, but you have a lot of taco. I want a taco. And went upstairs and had tacos.
Okay.
So yeah, I got to swallow my pride and be in a Packer bar in my Bears jersey, just like slinking into my seat, enjoying my view and ignoring the jeers. But then eventually we went into the more downtown area of San Diego and started to do our adventure. Because my parents were like, well, we're in San Diego, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I didn't know I was in charge of this destination.
All right.
But if you're gonna give me the steering wheel in this drunken ship, guess where we're going? So our first stop was the Karl Strauss Brewing Company from California with Love. And they were pretty good. It was like a restaurant bar, like a restaurant pub. So it had more focus on food than beers.
Okay.
They definitely had their own beers. They were good. I would definitely say go, but go with the intention of not going there for the beer. You're going there for their meals.
Okay.
We went there for beer. And so it was what I was saying of there was no real theme. But it was that Pils tastes like every other Pilsner I've ever drank. Their stout was...
It's hard to stand out in the crowd of regular, just mass-produced beers at that point.
I mean, you could have poured a Miller Lite, a Coors, a Bud Light. Like, that would have all ranked in the same, like... It's drinkable.
Okay.
You slam it down, you enjoy your thing. They had some IPAs that weren't bad. But again, I mean, it's IPA, so you're going to deal with...
hops and more
It's going to be hops in your face. And it, obviously, like, well, we have some light hoppy, and then we have hoppy, and then we have, like, double hopped and triple IPA. Then there's all the hops. And I'm not interested in that. So it's a good place. I would definitely recommend going to Karl Strauss, but I would definitely say go for the food and not so much the beer.
Got it.
Then, since we knew that, like, I had kind of mapped it, we then continued to walk into the little area called Little Italy of San Diego, which is like their Italian district. And it's obviously all outdoorsy because it's freaking San Diego, and it's beautiful all the time out there.
Right.
So we're walking around through the Italian section and run into a place called Bolt Brewery.
Okay.
Their shtick was basically blondes. And I don't mean like like chicks. I mean blonde beers. And it was lemons and oranges and cherries.
Almost like shandies.
Very much like shandies.
Okay.
Very much a summer drinking place.
Got it.
Again, it's San Diego.
Sunday in 78.
And I would highly recommend going to Bolt Brewery. I had a lemon. My ma had the orange. I think my dad had just a regular.
Didn't your mom say the orange tasted like a dreamsicle?
It was a straight dreamsicle.
Alcoholic dreamsicle?
Like, she drank two and didn't realize she drank two because she drank the one and he came by and filled up another, and she kind of looked at it confused, like, oh, and then started working on it. And I'm like, that's number two. And she's like, oh, okay. I had a lemon one, and it kind of was like a lemon head.
Okay.
Like a beer flavored lemon head. And that went way easy. I like lemon
Easy
heads.
drinking.
That was super easy drinking.
Like day drinking bar.
Yeah. Oh, you go there in the daytime and you could spend several hours there and not realize, like, oh, hey, I just put away all this beer. Boy, I'm talking a lot. And then we finish our night at McKellar, which I find is actually a Danish brewery.
Interesting.
And they said that it's like a renowned Danish brewery, and they opened one up in San Diego, and from the release of this episode here, apparently they opened one up in New York as well.
Interesting.
And their beer, I showed you a picture of the selection. It was like...
That was the one that was the real long list,
20
right?
20-something different beers.
Okay.
And
yeah, this chalkboard was full of interesting names, and even the bottom like handful of beers were just like beer club only.
Yeah, it was like the Viking beer club or something.
Those are the ones I would have liked to try. Damn it.
And it was almost perfect because having walked around and had kind of a loud day, going to Bolt was like definitely had the when you say Bolt Brewery, you imagine like an industrial scene type on the inside, and like, you know, you could hang out and loud music and stuff. And then we got to McKellar, and it was definitely had a hipster vibe. Dude behind the bar, like there was no waiters or servers or anything. Dude sat behind the bar, and the bar maybe could put 2 people back there before there's just enough for all the there's just enough room for like all the taps.
Right.
And dude was just like, hey. Like, hey. Like, what do you want? I'm like, a 12 and a 7 and a 13. Like, cool. And just poured it, and like we sat there, and it was a real small place, maybe holds 15 to 20 people tops, a real itty bitty place, but beer was good, the night was chill. At this point, it's already 10 p.m. Like, all right, time to go. Made it back, slept it all off, and eventually came back to Chicago. And it was just a really, really cool and memorable trip to go and have these three breweries in San Diego, and then have the D2 in Arizona, right in Avondale. So again, 8-Bit Brewery, or 8-Bit Ale Works, and Scale and Feather Meadery in Avondale. And then in San Diego, near the downtown district, was the Karl Strauss Brewing Company, Bolt Brewery, and McKellar Brewery.
Okay. So you're back in Chicago at this point. It's
mid-October?
Mid-October. And we start our Halloween planning. We've got a couple of Halloween parties to hit. I guess technically a Halloween party and an exorcism party. But we decide to go as what, a throwback to the first episode of Good Omens.
It's a good omen, baby.
And we decided to go as Crowley and Aziraphale.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Halloween night at this point. And we decide to hit someplace we'd already gone before, but we figured we'd check it out. They had a beer opening or
release.
Yeah, beer release. Black Horizon, which we've talked about before, it being a little bit more geeky because they go for the comic book stuff. So we stop in there, and I had a lip
tingling,
heartburn-inducing ghost pepper beer.
Yeah, I think it was a lager.
Yeah.
Was it a Pils or?
No, it was definitely it was darker.
Yeah, so it was a ghost pepper lager.
And I luckily only got like the 3 ounce of it.
Yeah, you knew. You're like, I'm just gonna do a taster and call it a day.
And it was flavorful, but anybody that could sit there and be like, yeah, saddle up to the bar and be like, give me a pint of this. Those guys got balls.
I think we know somebody that would do that, actually.
True. So that was our starting point for our Halloween evening. And then we went and grabbed some food, which was a good experience. And then we hit a brewery that I've known of for quite some time because they used to sell the beers at Beer House where we used to play trivia. Mm-hmm. And it's...
pour one out for Beer House.
It was Miskatonic Brewery. And Miskatonic, for any of you Arkham Horror fans out there, is straight up Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft, sorry. And it was great. It was a...
Well, let's paint this here.
Okay.
It's dark and raining.
It is. It's very dark and rainy.
Cold.
Yes.
Because it had just snowed the day before.
Halloween decided to go as January for Halloween. And
try it again.
Chicago decided to go as January for Halloween. And we go in, and I think there's only one other person that's like closing out their tab and heading out. So it's just me and you dressed as a demon and an angel walking into a bar, and this has got to be a setup for a joke somewhere.
Not even a full bar. It's a brewery. It's the
poorhouse.
The poorhouse that nobody's in. It's just him there, like kind of cleaning glasses, like whoa.
And we get a tasting, and we have a couple of their lighter brews.
They're sour.
Yeah, and Vox. Their Vox Pilsner was really good. And the bartender comes over, or the brewer or whatever, and come to find out he's from a small neck of the woods from where I'm from, and I'm talking small town, Athens, Illinois. And yes, it is Athens, not Athens. Just deal with it.
Is this South of 80 stuff going on again?
So poor Red over here has to listen to me basically go back and forth with this guy about how life growing up there was different. He actually ended up also going to my college in ISU. So then we talked about that, and you remember this place and this person and all these things. So it was really interesting out of coming from Springfield and moving to Chicago, finding somebody else that had a similar path, basically. So poor Red had to get like sucked into bad small town memories.
Well, I didn't quite have to get sucked in, because in fairness, we want to go back to talking about themes. I was enjoying their actual side room where they could actually host, not so much parties, but they have tables and stuff set up. Because there's also you could bring your own food in and eat there.
Which, again, another theme with a lot of these breweries is.
The Miskatonic being a Lovecraftian type vibe. So you have some of the pictures, kind of like some of the stuff had holographic moving eyes and like all sorts of little things that kind of hinted to the madness that lies within. A really cool place I would definitely suggest going to. Really good beers. Like I said, I had an apricot sour that was really tasty. I ended up walking out with a 4-pack.
Yep.
Because I did like a regular pour, 16-ouncer, and then was like, yeah, I need to take a 4-pack home with this. So that was really, really good. But again, going with themes and going with the theme of themes of these breweries, something like Miskatonic, and even if you look on our Instagram, you can see the picture
right
that they have for their
probably
logo.
the more intricate icons, but it's
yeah, this wouldn't be an easy tattoo to do.
Point. It speaks the point so purely of what it is.
And the funny thing is, it's a stone's throw away from me, and I just haven't been there, and it's just like, ugh.
It was a good experience for sure. So to kind of like wrap up the last handful that we've gone to recently, as you were kind of talking about Carl Strauss location, it reminded me of the Elmhurst Brewery that we went with a couple of our friends for brunch. They were in town from Michigan, and we decided to just pick a random brewery location that serves food, and it definitely seemed like it was more about the food than the brewer. The
beer wasn't bad, but again, you're gonna have a lot of these small brews.
Coffee stout was good.
Coffee stout was good. You're gonna have a lot of these places that are gonna focus on their IPAs.
Yeah.
There's as much as I give IPA crap, because I'm not an IPA fan, and make the joke of it's the easiest to make. It is the easiest to make. It's the
easiest to make, and I think it's also the easiest to kind of cycle through, or you make a batch and it sells or it doesn't sell, or you get another random idea of like, let's mix this. It seems IPAs seem more easily to manipulate than maybe something like a sour or a Scotch ale or something like that.
Yeah, and to me, it's always a thing of why have the IPAs gone in super popularity. Like, why is it people really gravitate onto IPAs? Is it that bitterness, or is it that, I'm going to air quote it, but say that flavor profile that really is out there that's so attractive to people? I mean, I know my father was a big IPA drinker. He loved that grapefruit sour, kind of, not even sour, but that bitter sour, that kind of citrus note that goes in there. Maybe it's just a case of that. And yeah, I imagine too, a lot, because IPAs are made to keep. They don't go bad quickly. Right. They're made to, Indian Pale Ale. They're made to be served warm, and they're made to be transported across long distances and not get flat and not get skunky, because they already are skunky. So you're starting from a point. So I mean, yeah. So you have a lot of these places that do the IPAs, but to do for Elmhurst Brew and have food, which again their emphasis was the food, and damn, their food was good.
Yeah, it was.
Was definitely a case of, okay, this is a different place.
And I know you're not a big fan of the IPAs, but I can do one or two before it's like, okay, now I need something that's gonna because they're usually higher proof or higher ABVs.
Sometimes, but yeah,
I can only do one or two before it all just starts tasting like soap. So or
soap and gym sock.
or Pledge.
I mean. And that's not putting a negative on it, because a Pledge has got that piney taste to it, or smell to it. Pledge tastes like pine. I promise you, I haven't been licking my parents' floors, but does have that taste of Pledge. Has that pininess that I'm just not a fan of it.
So then we went recently also with some friends of ours because they were in town. We went to Lagunitas. That is in Chicago.
The Chicago Brew, Southside.
That was a good time. I like Little Something Something.
You like, but Lagunitas is a really good brewery, and it's a really popular brewery.
Right.
It's not like it's just like a little dive brew. Like, it's a full-blown brewery.
That has become popular in the tri-state area. I don't know. I'm sure they ship everywhere now at this point, because they're an actual big brewery.
Absolutely. But they go on the hoppy scale again.
Yeah, they do.
They have a tendency of all of their beers have to be a little on the hoppy side, which again, if it works for them and that's what is demanded from them, awesome. I know you like Little Something Something. I was able to find something that was very minimal on their hop scale, and like something that was kind of easy drinking, so I was happy with that.
Right.
And again, you'll see that with a lot of places too. They're not just gonna be like, drink hops or leave. Like they'll
have
mix
something
it up
else,
a bit.
right?
So I found something myself, but
so and this was
a cool experience.
Yes, it was a really cool experience to see some of the inner workings of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like going on tours and stuff, but sometimes the tours can be a little bit more wordy and lengthy, but this was cool to be able to just walk the catwalks and see some of the stuff.
And you're missing the important part. When you first walk in, The walls are painted, and they have
That's true.
Gene Wilder singing "Pure Imagination."
Yes, they're going for the trippy, the trippy like trip art and
Sort of.
like they're going for a theme,
UV
for
lighting
sure.
and all that stuff, and you get past all the stuff. You get past all that and go upstairs, and they have the main tap room upstairs with then the ability to step outside of the tap room, which basically puts you onto a catwalk that overlooks
Everything.
the entire production facility.
Yeah.
So you are literally watching people make beer or package beer,
Ship beer.
or even to the point of like walking over to where some of the engineering plant is and some of the prototype stuff, and not even
I saw some of your geeking out.
Oh yeah, I'm recognizing all the machinery there, and I'm like, yeah, I've worked on stuff like that. I've worked on some of these electrical panels and whatnot. Like you could see the equipment that's there, which is really cool. It's very, very, I would say humbling, but very open and honest to like, no, this is what's going on. This is what we do. This is our company. This is coming. You are paying for this, so we can continue to do this. So it's neat to see that they're able to go
the inner workings.
See the fruits of our labor that you enjoy, and as long as you keep paying us to do this, we'll keep doing this.
Right.
So it's really, really cool to see.
And that was before, or that was right after the Halloween party, and we then went to, that was a day drinking experience
That was a day drinking experience.
Suicide Girls. So that was fun. Okay, final two. Final three.
Final four, because we had a brewery experience, 3 more brewery experiences, and then a.
But wait. Let's stop, because we're forgetting where you almost died.
Well, I was about to say we had a Viking bar crawl. So I died and went to Valhalla, and they wouldn't let me in because they're like, no Latinos. And I'm like, dude, seriously, it's a banquet hall. Someone's doing the catering, and then they let me in.
What was the joke? Your mom was a Valkyrie, and your dad was. Oh, I can't remember what you said.
Oh, come on.
I can't remember the other part. Your mom was a Valkyrie.
My mom was a Valkyrie.
Oh, that's right.
That rode in from Valhalla to meet with my father from the mariachi. And here's me. Olé!
Cool experience. Definitely want to do it again.
I would like to do it again, but better.
I've done a couple of bar crawls in my life, but they've been let's
give it before we go too far. Let's give it the proper respect to it. So we're talking about the Andersonville Viking pub crawl, where you go to it's a
suburb. It's Swedish.
It's not a suburb.
Okay.
How dare you?
I'm so sorry.
How dare you? It is a neighborhood in Chicago. It's like Logan Square and Lincoln Park and all this stuff. It is a neighborhood in Chicago called Andersonville. And I believe they have a Swedish population there.
Yep.
But they have the Swedish Heritage Museum that hosts a Viking pub crawl. Now, obviously, a lot of people do is like, ha, Viking pub crawl. And so they have the hat with the horns, maybe a scarf and some Ugg boots. And they're like, I am a Viking. And then you have the LARPers.
Yeah. So, shout out to one of our Patreons for kind of getting us involved in this because it was super fun. They did it the year before and made the Facebook cover page of it and everything because, again, we as LARPers, we have a lot of very similar gear. You just slap some fur on top and ta-da!
I mean, I had chainmail.
Insta Viking.
I had chainmail and boots and bracers, and again, a lot of our LARP costume doubles over. Give me a fur cloak and some sort of headpiece, and now we're staggering around.
War
makeup.
marks.
Everybody's like, we're going to do face paint, and so we had stuff around the eyes and stuff, and I come in full blue on my face.
Like Braveheart style.
Not quite Braveheart style, because I was worried about getting mixed with the Scottish thing. I'm like, I'm not doing Scott.
So, long story short, basically, how Grey Muzzle does that. We went to a handful, it was supposed to be 10 bars in a 3-hour period.
Which anybody knows is ridiculous.
You're not going to do that. because it's kind of like going to Disney World and you never want to go to the front of the park when you go in opening day.
Right.
Or opening hours. You want to go straight to the back of the park and work your way back. Well, we kind of missed our opportunity to do that. So we started pretty early on with the pack of people, and the first bar had a bunch of a waiting line and stuff like that. So we didn't get to all the places we wanted to go, but we did go to a couple places. And well, as Red stated, he just
So rookie move.
he went to Valhalla.
Rookie move. Don't drink on an empty stomach. This is for gray muzzles and newbies alike. Don't drink on an empty stomach, because we ate at like 10 o'clock.
Right.
And that was it. Like, okay, I did manage to snag like a tiny sandwich. And
Gotta get a pocket sandwich.
And I later found out my friend had a pocket sandwich that she had. And I'm like, damn it, I should have stolen your pocket sandwich. But the sandwich, like I had a little bit of a sandwich. Not even a sandwich. This is definitely the definition of a Sammy. I had like a Sammy. Like a Sammy. You get a sandwich, and then it's a Sammy. A couple bites gone, but then like we start drinking. I didn't drink a whole lot, but drinking on an empty stomach, and then just a mix of stuff between. I thought I was good with like a cider and a Fireball shot at the beginning. So I'm like, okay, cinnamon apple, I'm good to go. And then we go to another place, and I get like this glog.
Glog,
which is a
warm mulled red wine. Yep.
But I think it's spiked with something else. I can't remember, but everybody has their own recipe. That's why I'm staggering on it. Sometimes it's like just straight up Bacardi 151. They don't make, but like Everclear or some nonsense. Sometimes they spike it with some sort of rum. Sometimes they put vodka. So I've seen whiskey glog. Like they just throw whatever in there. And put that in my stomach on top of the Fireball. Then we go and where's the other place we went to? We went to the arcade.
Atmosphere and then the arcade. So Atmosphere and then Replay.
So Atmosphere, I had oh goodness, maybe a Blue Moon. I think it's a Blue Moon.
I think you had some kind of beer.
And then at the Replay, I had my punishment beer. Spoilers, punishment beer. And then at that point, we went over to Stone Fox, which is fitting that I'd get destroyed by Fox.
And let me explain something to our listeners.
We're just pulling my pants down and exposing my bare ass in front of everybody. Here we go.
I have gone to several cons with Red, and I've watched this individual day drink and put down a fifth of Stag by himself.
Red Stag, calm down. People are going to take the wrong impersonation there.
Phrasing. So I've experienced him drunk, but never in the state that he was in. I've never heard Red slur his words. So we saddle up to the bench at Stone Fox, and this bartender looks very capable, and we don't even really look at the beer, the menu, and we basically just go with our go-to, which is an old-fashioned.
And I know that I am drunk, but at the point, but I don't feel, because the thing, I'm drunk, but I'm not feeling bad yet.
Right.
And I don't feel the stomach turning or anything yet. I'm like, okay, I'm good. And I could sit down because we've been walking and
right.
Being loud.
We've kind of been moving.
And we're also being Vikings, so we're yelling at people. And like, I'm peeking into the window and people are staring at me of this like blue face painted, armored guy
Mexican.
Wandering. I'm not Mexican. Oh my God. I am as Mexican
Puerto Rican.
I am Mexican as much as you are Chicago. Boom, roasted. So, like, just making faces at people and whatnot. And we settle up to the bar, we order our old fashions, and I like take a sip?
I don't even think you got a sip. You slowly slunk away into the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was trying to be nice because I went into the bathroom and I knew I was drunk enough to go, like, I went wee. I flushed and turned around. I washed my hands. And then the little voice in the back of the head was like, the toilet's right there. And I'm like,
a little Viking devil.
Like, yeah, it's right there. And it's like, you could end it all right now. All you gotta do is pull the trigger. And so I vomit. But into the bathroom, into the toilet, trying not to make a scene and making sure nobody's there, because in my brain I'm going, I don't want to get my people kicked out. Right. Because it's very clear on who I'm with. Very clear. Nobody's going to look and be like, All right.
Some
So
rando.
there's a random. Yeah. If I'm just dressed up in my shirt and whatever else, and they kick me out, my friends could be like, "All right, we'll get them and sneak out." No, no, no. Like me and the other 9 Vikings in the bar are getting thrown out. Gets to the point where like somebody walks into the bathroom and I like stand up and start swatting at the toilet paper roll to make it seem like that I'm done and I'm okay. And as soon as the door leaves, I look, there's no feet under there, back into the toilet. Oh, it was bad. Friends come in, like, hey, Red, you okay? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Until Dusty White.
So being that I've partied and drank with Red several times over the course of our friendship, I'm realizing that he's gone from the conversation. He's been in the bathroom for just that little bit too long. And this is, again, just a stop on the bar crawl. So we're not really crashing, even though the bar crawl has ended at this point. Technically, we're not really done here. So I finally just go and I'll be honest, I peek my head in. I apologize to another one of my Viking friends and was like...
It wasn't so much I peek your head in and apologize.
Like,
it's, hey, sorry, buddy.
Don't care. Red, you want to go home. And he definitely was donezo. I basically was like, yes, let's go home.
What happened was... You peeked in and went, hey, do you want to go home? Because everybody asked if I was okay. And
right.
And you're like, do you want to go home? And I'm, yes.
So we, again, our
this
friend,
one goes up. Thank you, Chris, for saving my butt on this one.
Got him home, got him safe.
I didn't
apparently,
puke in the cab.
Didn't puke in the cab. Desecrated 2 trees before and after.
One tree?
No, before.
There
was 2 trees.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And then the negotiation for half of a breadstick.
So I remember being in the bed at this point. He takes me to the guest room, and I'm laying down, and he's like, hey, you need to take these pills. Now, he's like, I remember him, like, this is kind of piecing it together. He tells me that they're probiotics, and they'll help with my stomach issues. They'll help with the hangover. And this is what? A month ago or so? Less than a month ago? 3 weeks ago?
3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I don't know if these pills are, like, I don't know if they're going to help, but here you go, here are these pills. And I don't know if those pills are going to help me either, but it's been 3 weeks, and I still have an erection. So thanks, Chris. But so I'm like dying in bed, and I just like start zonking out, and I hear people come back. So it's like 11, 10 o'clock at this point, and everybody's coming back, and he's got Pizza Hut. Like, yeah, Chicago ain't got Pizza Hut. It's the same reason why you get Taco Bell. It's not tacos. It's Taco Bell.
It's not pizza.
It's Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut's not bad for being garbage pizza. Like, if you're going to put it on the scale of, like, Little Caesars and Pizza Hut and Domino's, I'm pretty confident that Pizza Hut's a clear winner here.
Right. Very much so.
Like, Domino's, whatever they want to do has always been garbage pizza, to me at least. And the only good thing about Little Caesars pizza is that you can actually eat the box that it comes with, and it tastes the same. So he's got Pizza Hut, and apparently he comes up and tries to negotiate. He's like, hey, buddy, you need to eat something. How about a breadstick? And I'm like, nah. He's like, well, how about a half a breadstick? And I'm like, I could do half. I woke up the next morning to a quarter of a breadstick, like, on my chest. So I did a half of a half. I'm sort of a fox in my word, okay?
So that was the Viking bar crawl. It was a great experience. I
just need more food in the stomach.
Yeah, exactly. I suggest anybody that's in the area during it. It usually is around November. I encourage them to check it out. It was super fun. Again, any LARPers or anybody that's got D&D, any type of costuming, you throw some fur on it, and you
make your own fun for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You hang with people, you make your own fun, you wander around. I've heard tales and stories of there being D&D bar crawls that we need to pay attention to in the near future, which would be a lot of fun to do these challenges.
Yeah,
and all
exactly.
That stuff. Take advantage, roll for advantage. I'll take advantage on that roll, but. Yeah, so that was a experience, to say the least. And I do have some nice glass souvenirs.
So we recovered from this, and then the last couple of times that we've gone out recently, we've hit a couple of different places. We recently, the last 2 weeks, so just last weekend, we had our November one day.
For Alliance South Michigan. We drove up there, as we usually do, and partook in their one-day event. And again, a lot of new players, which is super exciting to see.
Absolutely.
A lot of new LARPers coming in from different games, too. So, again, that is still a thing, ladies and gents. Alliance South Michigan. Find them on Facebook. You could do a Google search for Alliance South Michigan.
They'll be in our show notes.
They'll be in our show notes and such. And they play out in near Ann Arbor, Michigan. They had a one-day event at a park. Mm-hmm. The weather it was cold, but it
wasn't too bad. When the sun was out on Saturday, it wasn't...
even when the sun went down, it was cold, but it wasn't too wet.
Yeah.
It wasn't snowing. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just cold.
Yeah.
Like,
it was cold. It was Michigan in November.
Right. It's cold.
So we had a one day, and after the one day was over, like 6 o'clock, everybody rolled out. It's dark out. We've got to go find other places to do, or places to be. And we ended up at a place that I've been to before, Red had not, but it's called Drafting Table. Now, Drafting Table, actually, you've had some of their brews beforehand because they're frequent MCFC.
I think.
I think I remember seeing it when we went to this last MCFC in April. And Drafting Table is a really unique another unique brewery because it's big, open, it's got large tables, it encourages people to sit and kind of hang out and get to know people that you may not ever introduce yourself to. The staff is really great. They've got some really decent ciders, which a lot of these other brewers that we've gone to really don't brew ciders. So it has a different vibe to it. They usually have a food truck outside. They had live music this last time. It was just a really unique and upscaled brewery that I really do enjoy when we go there after one days.
And it's in such a key location because it's in Wixom, Michigan.
Yep.
And there's really nothing in Wixom, Michigan. Not a slam at them. There's just not much there. But it's in a little downtown center where there's a really bomb booming, banging, awesome pizza place.
Right.
Then there's a few other food places nearby, and then you have Drafting Table there. So I had some good beer there. I recommend
a blackberry or raspberry cider.
I only had one beer because I knew I was driving and stuff,
right.
So I just had the one beer and was like, I'm good. I definitely recommend checking that place out too. It's got a really cool vibe. The live music was questionable. I always hate when it's one more song, and then 9 songs later, they're like, thanks, y'all. It's like, holy crap. Again,
it's a little different when we're there with, 20-some people, 12-some people that we're trying to have community. Yeah, exactly. We're there to have fun and converse about the one day or just get to know people.
Talk about the event, for sure.
And you've got live music that's kind of a little loud.
But in fairness, when they say one more song,
it should be only one.
It should be one, maybe 2 more if you're really
especially if you're going out on a good version of Aha or Journey.
Yeah, they're playing Take on Me with a mandolin and an acoustic, and I'm like, all right, cool, you peaked. And then he plays some other stuff. I'm like, no.
Go out on a good note.
You could have just walked away, smashed your guitar, pieced out. We would have gave you a tip to keep walking. You would have been great.
So that was the one day, and then most recently, in the last 2 days, 3 days, yeah. We hit
Thanksgiving weekend, basically.
Yeah, basically. We hit Byers Brewing Company, which is local down the street from where I now reside. And
good old DeKalb, Illinois.
So Byers Brewing Company is, again, another one of those brewing companies that kind of popped up in the middle of a downtown area. It's a storefront. Basically, I could see 20 years ago it being,
100%.
Ace Hardware or something small town middle America. And we walked in. They happened to be having Blackout Wednesday, kind of come and check out some new local bands. Mm-hmm. And And Red was hanging out, and we decided to go in, and it was really enjoyable. We had a tasting of Doc Brown.
Well, their beer, again, goes with that A number one. They only got like 5 beers on tap. So you know they're very small and craft focused. They don't have a beer list, again, going with the counter of like McKellar, which is an established place, but also carries, 30 different beers or something that are all their brand, which is awesome, but also overwhelming. Mm-hmm. This place was like, hey, here's our 6.
Yeah.
Like, pick. Like, 3 of them are IPAs. Just deal with it.
I was going to say, it was Doc Brown, I can't remember what the middle one was, but then the other one was a blonde.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a brown ale, a blonde ale.
And a Scottish ale?
A Scottish ale, and like 3 IPAs, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they were not bad. I mean, they're just straight up like, here you go. Here's your beer.
Yep.
It helped that it was cold outside.
Yeah.
So I'm
the
more
heavier
apt,
beers.
I'm more apt to drink a brown ale when it's cold out. Mm-hmm. So nice heavy beer. It had dinner just a little bit a while ago from that. So a friend came out and visited. I messaged him like, hey, I'm in the area. He's like, I'll come out and see you. So that was really nice. And it was a really neat little place. Yeah. That was, again,
they actually had disc golf going.
Well, they had like, it's like they had it set up like bags.
Yeah.
So they had baskets on out of their end, and they're just doing putting practices with their disc golf stuff. But they do, live bands, they do game nights, they do all sorts of stuff. And it's one of those, and talking to our friend, our local friend there, he was saying, like, as someone who has lived in that neighborhood for a while, he was really happy to see
something like that show up.
That open up, especially with a board gaming place being across the street, with a couple of restaurants, and even a dive bar, Lord Stanley's.
Yeah.
Which, we may have to take, if we could drag one of our friends out there who loves dive bars. That is the diviest of the dive bars that I've been to in a while.
Pretty divey.
But it's a hoppin' dive bar.
It is. It's basically where it's far enough away from the college that it's not, hey, I'm worried about the person I'm talking to being 18, underage and 21, like, with his fake ID. It's more, it's a distance away from the college, so it's just kind of like where maybe the older people, the grad students, hang out. Versus, I'm a freshman in college.
I'm going to sneak off and drink at this. Right. Yeah, no, but it's definitely a divey bar. But it was a pretty cool place for being, craptastic. I just said I had a Angry Orchard there, and it was super clean.
Yeah.
So it's always good to see even a dive bar with like clean lines in their beer knows that, yeah, you know what, we're a dive bar, but we're still not going to give you crap.
Right.
We'll give you good drinks. We'll make sure our lines are clean. Their alcohol section, their actual like hard alcohol, because for your Jack and Coke, it was nicely set up. Mm-hmm. Like it was clear, fresh bottle, boom, pop everything. So it's good to see that.
If we had ordered an old fashioned, I think they might have known how to make it.
I think you would have done all right.
Okay.
I don't think the selection of bourbon would have been great.
Right.
I don't think they would have had even it would have been a Jim Beam old fashioned.
Right.
But you don't ask for that at that kind of place. Maybe you get a whiskey sour and you get the in a plastic cup or something, but you don't ask for that. And at the same time, I don't think they're gonna spit in your glass or they're gonna do anything crappy. Right. It's a dive bar.
It was a hopping bar though, for sure.
It was busy. It was packed. We couldn't play darts. So, obviously, once we finished that, we had a good Thanksgiving dinner with some more friends of the show. So, again, a special thank you to Becky and Mike and their family for taking in the wayward souls. Because, again, my family's all out in Arizona, and your family's kind of scattered as well.
Right.
So, it makes it easy to spend some time with when we don't have family.
Right.
And so that was really nice, and got fed and had some good turkey, and then... yesterday we were so Saturday night basically we're trying to
have a 4-day weekend.
We're trying to figure out some stuff and figure out what to do for recording and kind of wrap up for season 1, and I air quote season 1. And we stopped off at this place that's been around for a few years, since 2013, but I never really went, and it's about 15-minute drive from me. But the place is called Imperial Oak Brewing. And right out the gate, it's a very Scottish vibe. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't mess around. Wee Brown Ale or Wee Willie's Ale. Mm-hmm. And, like, everything. And they even had, like, a Scottish, like, you wear tartans and plaid night or something. Yeah. They had a food truck outside, which is great. I'm mad I didn't get the picture of the bar next door that was called the Snooty Fox.
Soon. We'll definitely be going back to this one for sure.
But now you want to talk about themes. Imperial Oak was not messing around when it came to we're going Scottish type theme.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all of the Scottish ales and red ales and ale heavy place.
And the murals on the wall and big oak tables that have been decorated with barley to be pictures in the table and resin poured on top. This place was oak barrel chandeliers, basically.
Right overhead. It caught your eye, too. It took a little bit, like a half hour in. You looked up like, oh my goodness, the lighting is awesome. This place was
awesome. I really like this place.
I want to go back, and I definitely want to go back with a group of people.
Right.
This would be a cool place to hang out, have a couple drinks, talk nonsense. Because it's got that chill enough vibe where... Like, I look around and, like, the average age was 30?
Yeah.
Ish. So you don't have too young of a crowd. I mean, I assume Scottish ales are also not on a, 21-year-old's favorite to drink list.
Right.
So you're going to kind of stray away from that. So you're going to have a different kind of hipster. You're going to have a different kind of drinker.
The brewer was full beard.
Oh, full long
wizard beard.
Yeah. Gandalf the brewer. But definitely a place I would say, if anybody in Illinois is in the southwest suburbs, Imperial Oak Brewing, definitely go to. It's a bring your own food type place too, so you can walk in. They had a food truck outside where you had some crazy
It was delicious.
Like carne asada, king steak sandwich, which was. I took a bite and I regretted my tacos. Like I'd be like, God damn it, I chose poorly. And yeah, I mean that was basically a bit of our beer adventure. And kind of wanted to finish up with that. It's kind of outside of our norm and outside of our usual conversations and stuff. And realistically, we're trying to let you guys know we're okay.
Checking in, life photo.
I still wanted to make sure that we do episodes every, we might change the day too. It may not be Wednesday. We may figure that out. We're still going through some stuff. Obviously, the holidays don't help us either.
Right.
We're going to get back underway soon. We do have stories. We do have some more formatting stuff we want to adjust. There's a few other changes and additions we want to do. Obviously, we're still going to focus on geekery and all things geek as usual. Obviously, this was a bit of a beer geek episode. And going on that, actually, what was your favorite beer? What can you think of offhand of all of these places that we've been to? Or at least I've been to. What is kind of ringing for you as I'm laying out the coasters in front of us? Again, check our Instagram, check Facebook for the lovely pictures of such. What are some of the beers that really knocked your socks off here?
I would be honest.
Top three.
The Imperial Oak sour that I had before was really good.
That was sour.
They age it in a gin barrel, which is something I've just never encountered. And you can get variants, and they have lots of fruit variants on it.
Peach, I saw, apricot, tangerine. Yep.
So that would probably be my top favorite.
I think for me, I want to go back to... I'm mixed between Scale and Feather with the meadery, because they had a mead that was... A lot of the meads were, sweet, and they had some... They tried to be weird with, some... They had, a jalapeno or a serrano pepper one. They had some others that were... Oh, it was a habanero pepper, my bad. A habanero pepper one. And then they had some that were, really sweet, sugary and stuff. But then they had one that was, had these very gin-like qualities to it. Which, again, it's funny to mention on the gin road of... It had... botanicals basically to it. Okay. It had a different, a floral scent. So mixing the honey with a floral scent, I drank it and it tasted like being in a field of wildflowers.
Okay.
Really weird, but compared to everything else that you're drinking is very, either sweet or hoppy or picking up flavor profile that is known for alcohol. Mm-hmm. When you go into, when you drink a bourbon, you're expecting the woodiness, you're expecting caramel, you're expecting vanilla. If you want to be like our friends over in Naperville, where they're like, what do you feel or what do you like about this drink?
Right.
You expect those things. You drink a gin, you drink an IPA, you expect the hops. If you get an IPA and it wasn't hoppy, you'd be like, what the crap? So you have these things. So I was not expecting a very, field, nature park
Right.
sensation drinking this because it was very clean. It was sweet because it's still a mead, but it's very clean and had like a floral note to it, and it kind of knocked me off my socks a little bit. And then I'm gonna rock down and say at Bolt Brewery in San Diego with that lemon blonde ale was like just taking a handful of lemon heads and just nom. And I got a secret love of lemon heads, so. And so many memories. That brings me back from when I used to work at United Center.
Right.
We used to have the big sport coats that we'd wear with our uniforms. And obviously when you're working a Bulls game or a Hawks game or a concert, I would be bored. Because once you sit everybody down, the crowd more or less manages themselves. They know where they're sitting. Especially in your 300 level. Nobody's going to like, oh yeah, let me check your ticket to see if you're sitting in the cheap seats. Like, you can go on, go. So I'm sitting up there and like I would line my jacket pocket with lemon heads. And so
That's
for like
just something to do.
2 years, because I mean, obviously, I don't know if you just honk and chew on a lemon head, but I was bored, so I'd sit there and suck on a single lemon head for like a half hour. So I knew if I could get through like 10 lemon heads,
your night's over.
It's a good night. Like, okay, cool. So I would do that, and just that brings back memories. Like the smell of and the taste of lemon heads just triggers memories. And sitting there having a beer that tastes like a lemon head, I was like, oh my god, this is so damn good. Obviously local stuff. I mean, Imperial Oak was really, really good. The Drafting Table had some really good stuff. The Elmhurst Brew, I had one of their sour, like their blackberry sour. I think they had that, was just really banging as well. So, I mean, Miskatonic with the apricot sour.
Right.
Like again, I like sours. I like saisons.
You do like sours, sours and saisons.
And you're all about the.
I like the
bourbon.
oak barrel bourbon aged brews or the porter, even porters now, or stouts. I like the darker brews.
See? And there we go for our listeners for Christmas. Wink, wink.
So to kind of circle back and, thinking about the fact that a lot of these places do have their own theme, basically, their own way of doing things. Do you kind of feel like breweries themselves are almost their own geekery? You take a geek or you take something that, again, passion to do something, and you've almost combined it to also provide a public service, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's public service. Again, we'll go back to our quote that we always close every episode out. It's passion. Mm-hmm. They show a level of passion in what they do. And it's, to me, there's a level of reassurance when you see the owners there doing what they do, and you see the owners tending, and you see, that's a nice thing about a lot of these microbrews, is unlike a regular bar, where they work the bar and sell you a glass of Coors Light or a glass of whatever is pouring on tap is on tap. They're passionate about their bar, but here's some beers that's pretty decent. It's cool when you see these brew spots that do their own drinks. And especially when the owner is serving or somebody that's close to the owner or something, there's a level of pride that you see with that.
Yeah. They're pouring that with pride.
They're pouring their pride. They know that with a sip, their reputation's on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, much like us with this show, our reputations are on the line for those who listen. They hear us expose our ass, or they hear us, with our opinions and our comments and stuff. And, we have to be mindful of what we say outside of this is also going to be indicative on what we say and who we are and whatnot. So it's cool to see people that get passionate about what they're interested in to really push that. Then you go next level where you start having themes and you start blurring, so to speak, interests. So you have somebody that likes making mead, but also likes to play Dungeons and Dragons. Why not mix the two? You got somebody that likes, I think that one of the brewers for Bolt Brewery, like one of the owners, was a machinist. Mm-hmm. So he's taking his love of metalworking and his love of machining and that kind of life and turning it into a beer name, and a lot of his beer names have to do what's that? You got another place like that in Chicago that calls their beer Crankshaft, and the Metropolitan Brewery.
Yep.
There's Crankshaft and everything else. So you've got clear themes that tie into a level of geekdom as well. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes into anything could be geeky. Mm-hmm. If you're into painting, if you're into making beer, you're into selling beer, you're into whatever it is, you exhibit that level and that passion and something that you're passionate about. then let that flag fly, man. Like we all benefit from your passion. There's very few times that I can think about when people don't benefit from someone's interest or passion in things. So, I mean, I think that's how we should close tonight out, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we want to say thank you for putting up with us in our little hiatus and dealing with our irregularities, like a bowel movement. That has us kind of doing a bunch of different things. Obviously, the holidays. Obviously, this America's Next Top Podcaster contest, which, again, has taught us a number of things and given us some experience and some exposure and hopefully some contacts, wink, wink, to hopefully put on a better show for you guys and give us some insight on how we could do things better and how we could do stuff from technical levels. I mean, you now have respect for every time I have to edit out a series of ums or like noise spikes or background noises and nonsense. Even just much as putting the intros in and the layering sounds, everything else. Concepts for what grabs people's attention. How do we get you listeners to want to tell your friends and be like, hey, you guys are awesome? So this time we're going to let Kristen close out with our usual statement. And just want to say thank you, everyone. And I think that'll do it.
We are all geeks. To be otherwise may very well mean to live without passion. Good night.
Thanks again and good night.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Gray Muzzle Geekery with Dusty Red and Dusty White.
You can support our continued geekery at our Patreon website, patreon.com/graymuzzlegeekery. Be sure to check back often as we start to add geek cred levels.
You can send your questions and comments to us at graymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at graymuzzlegeek.
We can be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Buzzsprout.
And a special thank you to Pepper Coyote for our intro theme. And if you like what you heard, you can find more of his stuff on Spotify, Patreon, or directly from his Bandcamp page.